What's up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. It's another great day here in Milwaukee. Just me today, but got a lot to go through. Major news in the NFL going down today, released. Um, we'll talk some college news, and then we'll get into NFL. Got some stuff going on there. We'll finish out with the USFL picks and previews for USFL Week 7. And then the NFC North draft recap, second to last one. We'll have the NFC West on Tuesday. So let's get it started here with college news and some interesting stuff. We will have an NFL Black Friday game with the Jets. And now we will have a college football Black Friday game as well. Penn State will play at Michigan State at Ford Field in Detroit. And that will be played on Black Friday this year, 7:30 p.m. primetime slot. So we'll have NFL and major college football on Black Friday this year. Very exciting things. I usually don't do anything Black Friday. Now I have something to do while my crazy sister and mom and grandma go off shopping. I'll be able to watch some football. The Georgia-Florida rival game, that will remain in Jacksonville through 2025. Both teams agreed to exercise their option to play in Jacksonville for another 2 years. They are doing renovations to TIAA Bank Field, but looks like the game will stay in Jacksonville for the foreseeable future anyways, the next 3 seasons. And one transfer portal note, UNLV quarterback Harrison Bailey has found a home, committed to Louisville. Again, Jeff Brom just accumulating a massive amount of transfers this offseason. And former Tennessee and UNLV quarterback Harrison Bailey, the latest in that transfer portal haul. NFL news, Ravens safety Tony Jefferson, he has retired, for most well-known with the Ravens. He played with the Cardinals from 13 to 16, was drafted by them in the second round, I believe, in 2013. Played with the Ravens 2017 to 19, and played with the 49ers in 2021 and went back to the Ravens that same year, and then played with the Giants last year. He is not going out of football, though, and he will begin his scouting career with Baltimore now, something he's wanted to do since when he retired. So he will start with the Ravens in their scouting department this summer. We had a trade go down before his release. So the Jags traded kicker Riley Patterson to the Lions for a 2026 7th round selection. Nothing major there, just a dump, but the Lions wanted to get him instead of have another team potentially scoop him up in free agency. So before the Jags released him, they did trade him to Detroit, who already signed John Parker Romo earlier from the USFL, San Antonio Brahmas, and now they add Riley Patterson to the kicking battle in Detroit as well. Injury note, the Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, he underwent foot surgery in March. The timeline for him is unknown right now, but all signs are pointing that he should be ready for the start of the season, but it's just another little, asterisk on Jimmy G. Can he stay healthy? Who knows? Their backup quarterback situation isn't as complete as it was when they had Derek Carr and Jarrett Stidham last year. They did sign Jimmy G's good buddy, Brian Hoyer, And they do have returnee Chase Garbers and draftee Aiden O'Connell. They drafted in the 5th round, I believe. So those are the other 3 guys on the depth chart at quarterback right now. And we'll see if Jimmy G makes it to week 1 or not. All right, the Cardinals, major news today, releasing wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. The Cards take a $22.6 million cap hit. They did not designate him as a post-June 1 release, so they take that full hit on this year's cap, and they can start fresh with a lot of cap space in 2024, which is needed with the depletion of their roster. So yeah, it's interesting to see where D-Hop goes from here, because in a recent appearance on the I Am Athlete podcast, Hop said the 5 quarterbacks he'd most like to catch passes from were Bills quarterback Josh Allen, Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, and Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. And I thought about it. I thought about the Eagles right away. If they can figure it out, the cap, I mean, that offense would be pretty unstoppable. DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown on the outside, Devontae Smith working the slot. And then you have Dallas Goedert in the middle of the field as well. You have Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift out of the backfield with Jalen Hurts. I mean, pick your poison. That would be just ridiculous. Mahomes and Hopkins also would be crazy, but I have soured on the Chiefs. Allen and Hopkins would be really solid. I think that would be add a different dimension to the Bills passing game. Stephon Diggs already a superstar there, but to get Hopkins as well would really create a lot more openings for Diggs. Lamar needs a lot of help at the receiver position, so that would probably be a good thing for him. And then it'd kind of be the same thing as the Eagles with the Chargers there. I mean, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Hopkins all in the same offense. Who do you cover? So, yeah, a lot of really solid choices there on those 5, but we'll see if it's anyone else instead of those 5 guys, teams. But yeah, we'll monitor Hopkins and his free agency. Going to be one of the most highly sought after free agents of the summer. Some free agent signings here. The Steelers, they signed Cardinals pass rusher Marcus Golden to a 1-year deal. Very excited about Marcus Golden. The Steelers needed some depth behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. So it gives them a veteran guy who's produced with Arizona before. I'm excited to bring him in. Knows the 3-4 defense. So great signing there. And the Jags got the kicker of the offseason here. They signed Broncos kicker Brandon McManus to a 1-year deal 48 hours after he was released by Denver. The Jags get a good one. And I mentioned they traded Riley Patterson, so they cleared a roster spot for him. And yeah, I mean, McManus is going to be a beast for Doug Peterson there in Jacksonville. And finally, the Patriots, they signed Falcons tight end Anthony Firkser to a 1-year deal, which was a weird signing. I thought they already had 3 tight ends there with Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, or not Jonnu Smith, because he was traded to Atlanta. But they already had Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki, who they signed. So Anthony Firkser will try to fit into that 3rd tight end role. So actually not a bad signing. I forgot they traded Jonnu Smith before I spoke it. So and then the couple workouts. How about the Jets? They worked out former Bills punter Matt Araiza, so cleared of all charges on his off the field issue that he was dealing with. And possibly getting another shot now. Drafted by the Bills last year. And now might get a redemption in the NFL with one of their rivals in the Jets, possibly some other team. But yeah, the Jets worked out Ariza. And then the Eagles, they kicked the tires. They worked out former Ravens guard DJ Fluker. Hasn't played a game since 2020, but Isaac Seumalo in Detroit, or in Pittsburgh now. And they did get some guys in the draft, but why not? Why not take a chance on Fluker? He was on practice squads in 2021, didn't play any games for those teams though. Like I mentioned, played with the Ravens in 2020 though. So it's been a few years, but see if Fluker has anything left in the tank, see if the Eagles give him a chance. That is all the news we have. So let's get to the USFL pick standings. I'm still riding high at the top. I picked up a couple more games on Mark. I'm now 3 games up on him, and 4 up on Logan. Logan and I both went 3-1 last week. I Mark lone wolfed the Pittsburgh Maulers, who lost to my Memphis Showboats. And then we all picked Birmingham. Mark, his lone win came on his lone wolf. He lone wolfed the Stars. And then he lone wolfed the Generals as well, which cost him. So 1-3 on lone, or 1-2 on the lone wolves. And yeah, that is how it went. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I'm 3 games up on Mark. Mark 1 game up now on Logan after Logan caught him a little bit last week. Let's get to the games this weekend. So first off, tomorrow we have the Stallions at the Breakers. This one's back in Birmingham, where both teams are located in their hub there. Logan lone wolfing the Breakers, and McLeod Bethel Thompson. Look, this offense has struggled. 10 points each the last 2 weeks, and it's not been good. So can they break through as the Breakers? We'll see. But I like the Stallions. I think Alex Magoo, the USFL, put out a graphic today showing the points leaders in the league this year. Alex Magoo leads the league with 90 points total. He has the most passing touchdowns in the league. And I think that he can quarterback this offense to a win in a major one for this South Division showdown here at the top, where it's a 3-way tie at 4-2 with these 2 teams and the Houston Gamblers. So, yeah, I like the Stallions. Think their defense is going to continue to hurt the Breakers offense, which they've just died the last 2 weeks. I don't know what happened. But yeah, giving me the Stallions. Logan lone wolfing the Breakers there. Total is 45.5. I'm kind of staying away from that. I do like the 1.5 for Birmingham, but I'm staying away from the total there. Just don't know if the Breakers offense is going to revert to its old form the first 4 games, or continue its bad play the last 2. This one's 4 p.m. on Fox. Tomorrow night, we have the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Stars at the Maulers. I'm lone wolf in Pittsburgh, the favorite by 1 point in this game. Mark and Logan on Philly. And yeah, I mean, they won last week, but it was against a New Orleans team that really hasn't done a lot. And the Stars offense hasn't done a lot itself. The winning point in that game was a pick 6. Otherwise, you had Luis Aguilar kick 3 field goals again, and it was not very good for Philly's offense. So while Pittsburgh got shut out last week against Memphis, Memphis is on a roll. They are the hottest team in the USFL, winning 3 straight. And I just think the Maulers are going to rebound in this one and get the win because of their defense. Their defense has been lights out last week. They allowed 16 points in the 22-0 shutout. I say they allowed 16 points because they were on offense when the 109-yard missed field goal return for a touchdown happened. So that does not count against the defensive points against. But yeah, I just think Troy Williams is going to get it on track, and the Maulers' defensive line is going to maul Philly's offensive line, who played very well last week, by the way, against the New Orleans D-line. So we'll see if that continues. I don't think it will, though. I think it was a 1-week blip for that O-line. I think Pittsburgh, their defense rolls this one. Total is 39.5. I'm going with the under in that one. 9 p.m. FS1. On Sunday, the Gamblers at the Showboats. Of course, I'm lone wolfing my Memphis Showboats. 3 in a row. They're the hottest team I mentioned in the USFL. And why not go 4 in a row? Get a chance at the playoffs here. 1 game out. And there's going to be at least one team at 4-3 between Birmingham and New Orleans. And if we have Memphis win, you got 3 teams at 4-3. It'd be a big win for Todd Haley and co. 4 straight, and heading into the last couple of weeks of the season, make it a tough play in the division. So I love the Showboats, what they're doing right now. Their defense has come alive the last 2 weeks. And the offense, while it hasn't been very good, it's done enough. And the Gamblers, on the other hand, it's going to be a tough out to face that offense. Kenji Bahar, Mark Thompson leads the league in rushing touchdowns with 9. So got to stop him. And then if you can stop Mark Thompson, I think you can win, because I think you can exploit Kenji Bahar a little bit. Just got to make sure you double team Justin Hall, or else he'll hurt you. But it's going to be a close game, I think. Give me Showboats plus 3.5. Total is 43.5. I'm going with the under. Just how the Memphis defense has played the last 2 weeks. Going with the under in this one. 2:30 on USA. And finally, the Panthers at the Generals. We are all on New Jersey. And it's safe to say the Panthers really have taken a step back. Started the season 2-0, lost 4 straight. Not just 4 straight, any 4 straight. They lost 4 straight at home in Detroit. So, they play the Generals this week. And they got to figure something out. I think 6.5 is way too much for a couple 2-4 teams. Now, New Jersey has played a lot better than its 2-4 record, but I just don't see them losing this one. So I don't like the 6.5 necessarily, but I would lean towards that. I would lean Panthers plus 6.5. Over under is 39.5. And I'm rolling with the under again. The offense, I hope that DeAndre Johnson plays in this game, because the offense with Kyle Lauletta has been suspect, to say the least. And I like the Generals to win this one, but the total under 39.5 as well. So I think I'm going with possibly all 4 unders. The 45.5 in Birmingham, New Orleans, I'm not sure about, but the other 3 games I like the unders. 5:30 on FS1. All right, let's get to the NFC North draft recap here. Here are your 5 first-round picks for the division. 10th overall, offensive tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee for the Bears. 12th was Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs. The Packers at 13 took Iowa edge rusher Lucas Van Ness. His teammate at Iowa, Jack Campbell, linebacker, went 18th to the Lions, and then the Vikings selected wide receiver Jordan Addison, USC, at 23. So let's start with Chicago here. I mentioned offensive tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee at number 10. They traded back one spot to get that after trading back 8 spots with the Panthers pre-draft. Second round, they had 2 picks. Defensive tackle Javon Dexter Sr., Florida, number 53. Corner Tyreek Stevenson, Miami, number 56. Third round, defensive tackle Zach Pickens, South Carolina, number 64. 2 fourth-rounders, running back Rashawn Johnson, Texas, number 115. And wide receiver Tyler Scott, Cincinnati, number 133. 2 fifth-round picks, linebacker Noah Sewell, Oregon, number 148. Corner Terrell Smith, Minnesota, number 165. No 6th-round pick. And then 2 7th-rounders, defensive tackle Travis Bell, Kennesaw State, number 218. And defensive back Kendall Williamson, Stanford, number 258. So I really liked the Bears draft. They hit what they needed to. Their weaknesses were in the trenches, specifically at tackle, offensive and defensive tackle. They also needed some pass rush as well, which they didn't get. That was the lone thing that I didn't like with this Bears draft. But most of the other picks I really like. Darnell Wright is a solid right tackle. And so they keep Braxton Jones, their rookie from last year, at left. They slide Darnell Wright into right tackle, and you have a bona fide Pro Bowl player there. Now, going to the defensive side, the next 3 picks with Dexter, Stevenson, and Pickens makes a lot of sense. Look, they needed help on the interior defensive line. Andrew Billings, Justin Jones, their starters. And they drafted 3 defensive tackles, Zach Pickens, Javon Dexter. They're going to be space eaters. I think I like Pickens better, 6'4", 305, out of South Carolina. Dexter, 6'6", 312. I don't know. I think Pickens is the better player anyways. I think he gives you more of a pass rush upside than Dexter does. Both can kind of do similar things, though. So I don't have a big preference either way, but I lean towards Pickens. Tyree Stevenson's a guy I loved. Was hoping one of my teams could get him in the 3rd round, but he's going to be a guy that can fit in the slot. They needed some help outside of Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon. They're 2 young stars on the outside. And they had Kendall Vildor as well, but getting Tyreek Stevenson in the 2nd was a plus pick. The pick of their draft, though, I thought was Rashawn Johnson, other than Darnell Wright. Rashawn Johnson is going to be a beast. And look, they signed Deontay Foreman. He's on a 1-year deal. Khalil Herbert really hasn't panned out like they thought he would. And I think Rashawn Johnson could be a guy that elevates this running game. People mentioned all the time pre-draft, he was stuck behind Bijan Robinson there at Texas. And if he would have went to any other program, he would have been a superstar. And I highly believe that. I mean, when you look at the measurables alone, 6'2", 223, he is a pounder up the middle with receiving upside ability. And 4th round pick, solid selection there. Loved that one. Tyler Scott's a guy that's going to be vertical. He's going to get deep. Justin Fields should like to throw those balls to him, kind of like they do already with Darnell Mooney. But Tyler Scott, bigger than Mooney, 5'11", 185, I believe. He's bigger than Mooney. Yeah, 5'11", 173 for Darnell Mooney. So he's heavier. Anyways, than Mooney is, gives you a little bit more durability than Darnell Mooney does. But he's going to be a guy that's going to get vertical real quick. Noah Sewell, I really liked him in the later round, sideline to sideline linebacker. They really didn't need a linebacker. They needed some depth, I guess, because they didn't have a lot behind their new guys there, Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards. They drafted Jack Sanborn there last year, I believe. Undrafted last year, but still, they have him. Noah Sewell maybe takes his spot in the starting lineup if he gets things going rather quickly. And then Terrell Smith, Kendall Williams. Terrell, I don't really have too much to say about the two seventh rounders, but Terrell Smith, a guy that was pretty solid at Minnesota. Again, they were just stockpiling the corners depth there. They needed to get better at that position outside of the starters. So they did that with 3 defensive back picks. I mentioned they picked 3 defensive tackles as well. So solidifying, just throwing a bunch of resources at a couple different positions, trying to solidify them. So yeah, I really liked it. It was a nice draft. First one for Ryan Poles there in Chicago, and I thought he did a good job getting their needs filled. And yeah, I give it. I didn't like it. It wasn't outstanding, I thought. So I liked it as a B plus. It was pretty solid, but not excellent, right? Moving on to Detroit, and I mentioned the loan thing I had with Chicago. They didn't draft any edge rushers. That was the biggest issue. They still need edge rush help. Don't know where they're going to get that. Steelers just signed Marcus Golden. He was available. They didn't go after him, so we'll see what Chicago does if they do anything before the season starts. So Detroit here, they had an interesting time, especially on night 1. First round, 2 picks, running back Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama, number 12. Linebacker Jack Campbell, Iowa, number 18. Second round, 2 picks, tight end Sam Laporta, Iowa, number 34. Corner Brian Branch, Alabama, number 45. Third round, 2 picks, quarterback Hendon Hooker, Tennessee, number 68. And defensive tackle Broderick Martin, Western Kentucky, number 96. Didn't have a 4th round pick. 5th round, offensive tackle Colby Sorsdahl, William and Mary, number 152. Didn't have a 6th. And then 7th round, they drafted wide receiver Antoine Green, North Carolina, number 219. So this is really about days 1 and 2. They only had 2 picks on day 3. It was I said interesting already. I use that word a lot, but yeah, I mean they use premium picks on what most consider not premium positions. So we'll see what happens with it. But Jahmyr Gibbs, okay. I liked him as a second running back. He went off as RB2, but 12 was a lot. And they probably could have got him later. I mean, I thought anyways, as well as I know a lot of other people did. But he's got to be the guy from day 1. Like, he has to be your running back that can do everything, 3-down back for you. You signed David Montgomery in the offseason to a 1-year deal, trade away DeAndre Swift during the draft. So it's the pressure is squarely on Jahmyr Gibbs to be the guy right out of the gate. I don't know if he can do that. We'll see. And then Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell's a guy I loved. I loved Jack Campbell coming up in the draft. But 18, no, I didn't love him at 18. I loved him in the 2nd round where he should have went, like a lot of the other linebackers. Look, this guy's sideline to sideline. He can do everything. He can cover tight ends and running backs. Some issue, I think he was a little stiff in the hips, though, at least what I saw. And coverage ability wasn't A+. It was probably more like a B+. But they drafted him to be the guy. So they have him slotted in at Sam linebacker right now. I don't hate that. I think being an outside linebacker in the 4-3 is a pretty solid spot for him to start his career before he moves into the middle, which maybe he will, maybe he won't, but I think that's a good thing for him to be on the strong side where he's going to face a lot of runs. And it was all right, though. His teammate, Sam Laporte, I thought was a really solid pick. Didn't see him going, though, before some of the other tight ends. Michael Mayer went after Sam Laporta. Laporta getting drafted as the second pick or the third pick in the second round. And again, he's pretty much going to have to be the guy. They don't really have any other tight ends. Brock Wright is the starter listed right now on ESPN. But I think he's going to have to be the guy to go forward. He's going to have to be a better blocker, I think, than maybe he was at Iowa. I mean, they get good tight ends. I just think Sam Laporta was better at receiving than he was at blocking. Seam stretcher up the middle, which is what they're going to need with the likes of Jameson Williams being out for the first 6 games. Brian Branch, that was a home run selection. Can do everything. Corner, safety, versatility. They have him listed as the third corner on the right side, and they have him listed as backup free safety currently. So again, he can do everything. Not afraid to tackle. That was probably the best pick, I thought, for the Lions. And then Hendon Hooker, I mean, fantastic value in the 3rd round. Can't pass that up, and he's going to be the backup this year, more than likely, depending on where his recovery is from the ACL. Maybe Nate Sudfeld starts as the backup, active on game days anyways. They'll keep 3 on the active roster, and then Hendon Hooker can be the backup going forward once he is 100% clear from his knee injury, and just learn from Jared Goff, sit the entire year, and then maybe 2024 we see Hendon Hooker be the guy in Detroit. Broderick Martin, pretty solid selection out of Western Kentucky on the backup defensive tackle role. They needed one more DT, and that's what they got there. They have a solid 5, I think, anyways, with their other guys they have. So I think that was a fine one. Maybe a little rich in the 3rd round, but not a bad thing to stock up on DTs. And then the day 3 picks, I didn't know too much about. Colby Sorsdahl, listed as the 3rd left tackle right now. So I don't think he's going to make the team probably, unless he pushes inside to guard. And even then, he's going to have a tough time beating out the likes of Graham Glasgow for the primary interior offensive lineman backup. Lastly, though, I did like the Antoine Green pick, 7th round. Does he make the roster? I don't know. He's a really solid possession receiver in the middle of the field, and maybe he makes the roster for the first 6 weeks while Jameson Williams is suspended, and there's a roster spot open for him because of that. And then maybe, he gets on the practice squad, or he gets released and goes on waivers and some other team picks him up after seeing him play pretty well on special teams and sparingly on offense. Packers here. Let's see, did I have any issues with the Lions draft? I will say, just like the Bears, no edge rush. That was one of the big things. Were the Lions going to take an edge rusher? And they didn't the entire draft. They're just going to roll with James Houston and Romeo Okwara opposite Aiden Hutchinson there, I guess. And that's how they're going to do it, because they didn't pick up anyone else. So that was probably the biggest issue I had with their draft. Oh, they also have Michael Badgley, by the way, at kicker. Speaking of the Riley Patterson. So they got Riley Patterson, John Parker Romo, and Michael Badgley. Three-way kicker battle in Detroit. Hottest news of the summer. Let's talk about Green Bay here. The Packers drafting edge rusher Lucas Van Ness, Iowa, number 13. Second round, 2 picks, tight end Luke Musgrave, Oregon State, number 42. And wide receiver Jaden Reed, Michigan State, number 50. Third round, tight end Tucker Kraft, South Dakota State, number 78. Fourth round, linebacker Colby Wooden, Auburn, number 116. Fifth round, they had 2 picks. Quarterback Sean Clifford, Penn State, number 149. And wide receiver Dontavian Wicks, Virginia, number 159. Sixth round, they had 2 picks. Linebacker Carl Brooks, Bowling Green, number 179. And kicker Anders Carlson, Auburn, number 207. Seventh round, 4 picks here. Corner Carrington Valentine, Kentucky, number 232. Running back Lou Nichols III, Central Michigan, number 235. Safety Anthony Johnson Jr., Iowa State, number 242. And wide receiver Grant Dubose out of Charlotte, number 256. I forgot to mention the Lions draft. I'm giving it a B. It was okay. B minus, actually. It was okay, but the value was not there for some of the players they drafted. And the lack of day 3 picks where they can really fill out their roster, I think hurt them. So B minus for Detroit. Packers here, I liked it. They got what they wanted. They finally got some weapons here. Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, they're slotted as tight end 1 and 2. They're going to be the guys. To start, Luke Musgrave going to learn how to block a little bit, but that's why they drafted Tucker Kraft, because he can do that. Tucker Kraft can be your do-it-all tight end 2 and can block and work underneath when he is on the field. And they drafted 3 wide receivers. Dontavian Wicks was a tight end wide receiver hybrid there at Virginia, but 6'2", 208, going to be a wide receiver in the NFL. And look, when you look at it, they filled the last 3 spots that they needed. So they had Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Samori Toure. And now they get Jaden Reed to fill in the slot position on the offense. 6 foot, 185. And then they have Wicks and Grant Dubose, who I really like out of Charlotte. He's a slot demon. At 6'3", 200. He plays the slot a lot, though. So I really liked those 3 picks. Dontavian Wicks, monster at Virginia as well. Jaden Reed, though, I thought was too high. Second round, I had Jaden Reed in the 3rd round as a slot kind of gadget guy that can help you on punts and kick returns. That's what he's going to do, I believe, anyways, unless they just leave Samori Toure to be that guy. But he's a burner. He's going to give Jordan Love a vertical threat, something that they kind of already had in Christian Watson, but I think they want Watson to do a little bit more underneath stuff and possession wide receiver kind of, rather than just running straight down the field all the time. But Jaden Reed can do that for you. Luke Musgrave is a guy that's going to stretch the middle of the field and the seams. So I think that was a great pickup and a guy that Jordan Love can lean on this year. Colby Wooden, second defensive pick. Lucas Van Ness was an interesting one. I liked him better in a 4-3. They're going to play him an outside linebacker. Can he do that? I don't know. 6'5", 269. It's a pretty big outside linebacker. That's why I liked him as a 4-3 defensive end instead. I think he might have to slim down a little bit. To 270 at outside is a lot of weight to move around out there. If he can get down to 260, I think that would be a lot better for him. 260, 265, especially at 6'5". I think that would benefit him movement-wise on the edge. But yeah, let's move back to Colby Wood in there. They have him listed as a defensive end, 6'5", 284. I don't know why it said linebacker on NFL.com. But yeah, he is a defensive end, 6'5", 284. Yeah, I'm not sure why he was listed as a linebacker. So whatever. But yeah, it's a solid pick. They really needed some help there in the interior defensive line. At the DN spots, they didn't really have any depth behind Devontae Wyatt and Kenny Clark. So they get that with Colby Wooden. They get that with Carl Brooks, who's 6'4", 300, also listed as a linebacker. Sorry, guys. I have no clue why they're listing these guys as linebackers. But anyways, 2 DNs, 3-4 DNs that are going to help a lot and play a lot as the primary backups to their positions. How about my guy, Sean Clifford? Now, Jordan Love, I'm just saying, sir, you have one of the most experienced quarterbacks in this draft class, maybe the most. I'm not sure exactly. But he's going to be a veteran presence for Jordan Love. Even as a rookie, I think he's going to help Jordan Love a lot when he comes to the sideline. Sean Clifford's a very intellectual guy that is gonna be a nice sounding board for Love when he comes off the field every drive. So him and Danny Etling are gonna form a formidable backup duo, and they got a young, really young quarterback room there, where Jordan Love is the youngest, I believe, because Danny Etling here, 28 years old. Sean Clifford's 26, I think. Of course, they don't have Sean Clifford's birthday on ESPN yet. It is, yeah, he's 24. Going to turn 25 here soon. And Jordan Love, well, yeah, so Danny Etling's turning 29. And then Jordan Love will turn 25 in November. So yeah, he is the youngest of the 3 quarterbacks in their room. So he's gonna get some coaching up from their guys, and of course the regular coaches as well. Anders Carlson, fantastic selection. He's gonna be their kicker of the future. They released Mason Crosby, so he is the next Packers kicker. Their excellent career at Auburn, one of the stronger legs in the draft class. And I thought that was a really great pickup for Green Bay. 7th round picks. Look, Lou Nichols could be a gem, guys. I mean, he's 4th on the depth chart there. I think he'll end up 3rd. Patrick Taylor is a guy that Green Bay likes and they've used in the past, but I think Lou Nichols has just the explosion that you want to see out of a backup running back that can give you a change of pace back. He's 5'11", 222, has good size. And like I mentioned, he just, once he hits the hole, he's gone. So really solid career at Central Michigan, and will fill in nicely as the RB3, I think, in this offense. So yeah, Packers here, I really liked the draft mostly. So I am gonna tie them at the top of the division with a B+, with Chicago. And finally, before I go here to the Vikings, issue I had with the Packers draft, that they didn't draft a tackle, an offensive tackle. I thought they needed to get probably a right tackle, but the successor to David Bakhtiari would have been nice to see them get in one of the early rounds. Probably also safety. They have Jonathan Owens listed as the other starter, former Texan. He's listed as the starter opposite Darnell Savage. They have Rudy Ford and Tariq Carpenter, who they drafted last year. But yeah, I think safety could have been another thing they could have drafted, and they really didn't get a lot. Carrington Valentine, the only corner that they drafted. Maybe they could have drafted one higher than that, but I think really the biggest one I had was the tackle. They didn't Josh Nyman, and I know Packers fans like him, but we'll see. We'll see how the tackles work out this year for Green Bay. Finally, let's move on to the Vikings here. First round, they went with my guy, wide receiver Jordan Addison out of USC, number 23. I told y'all I had it. I'd been mocking Jordan Addison to Minnesota for pretty much the whole offseason, and it was just a perfect fit with him and Justin Jefferson. So made a lot of sense on that one. Didn't have a second round pick because of the TJ Hawkinson trade last year. Third round, they go corner Mekhi Blackman, USC, number 102. Fourth round, corner Jay Ward, LSU, number 134. Fifth round, 2 picks, defensive tackle Jaquelin Roy, LSU, number 141. And quarterback Jaron Hall, BYU, number 164. Didn't have a 6th round pick. And then 7th round, running back Dwayne McBride, UAB, number 222. Hence completes the all 3-letter school team. USC, LSU, BYU, UAB. There you go. I already mentioned Jordan Addison, just a perfect fit. He's going to slot in wide receiver 2 right away, fit that trio with JJ and KJ Osborne. They better keep their guys healthy because the guys they have behind them are not very solid. Jalen Reagor, Brandon Powell, and Jalen Naylor. But yeah, I thought that was a perfect fit. He's going to be a possession receiver over the middle of the field in the slot, which fits what they needed. The corners was a big area of need. Blackman and Ward here. They have Ward listed as a safety. So there you go. But I think they need both. They didn't really need safety as much, so I think Jay Ward's going to play corner, maybe. I mean, they picked up John Reed and Juwan Williams in free agency. They also have Tay Gowan as backup to Andrew Booth and Byron Murphy. But, yeah, Blackman is a guy that's going to come in and play that 3rd or 4th nickel dime slot corner there. Jaquelin Roy, I liked it. They run a 3-4, and they have him 4th nose tackle right now. I cannot say he's going to be that far down the depth chart. 6'4", 315. As a 5th round pick, maybe he is with some of the guys they have. Kyrus Tonga, Sheldon Day, and TJ Smith, the other guys ahead of him. But I think eventually Jaquelin Roy is going to be either the starter at nose or the backup, because he's just that good. He had a really solid career at LSU, can push the pocket a little bit, not a excellent interior rusher, but can give you some pass rush upside there. Jaron Hall's an intriguing selection, y'all. He's going to be the 3rd quarterback right now. They have Nick Mullins as well behind Kirk Cousins, and who knows, Jaron Hall, we might be sitting here next summer and saying, well, what do the Vikings look like with Jaron Hall at the helm? He's an experienced quarterback, played a lot at BYU after Zach Wilson left. But yeah, I liked him. He's a guy that kind of fell off this past year. I think his 2021 tape was a lot better than 2022. BYU is a better team in 21 than they were in 22, but 6'1", 205, pretty solid arm, and excellent thinker at quarterback as well. And then Dwayne McBride, he's a guy that's going to get a shot as the fourth running back. Depending on what happens with Dalvin Cook, could be the third running back, but he's another running back late in the rounds. That is just a bomb waiting to happen. He's gets shot out of a cannon every time he hits the hole. Had a lot of yards at UAB, and I'm excited to see what Dwayne McBride can do possibly in this Vikings offense if he gets shot. So the Vikings, I think it's a B. I wasn't particularly excited about any one thing other than Jordan Addison. Darren Hall intrigues me in the late rounds, but I think it's a B. I think it's pretty solid, though. All four of the draft classes here in the NFC North, really excellent jobs by the four GMs, all in the B range. So just to recap here, Chicago and Green Bay, I gave both of them B pluses. Very good drafts for them. The Vikings are my third team at a B, and then the Lions finish out last at a B minus. And that is the show for today. Next week, we'll be back here talking USFL Week 8, and we'll have all four game previews for the weekend, as well as we will begin our season previews. The season is coming up, y'all, in just like 3 months. So we're getting into the swing of season previews here the next couple of weeks after we finish out our draft recap series on Tuesday with the NFC West. As always, we'll have all your college football, NFL news, USFL, XFL news as well. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, FAA_bets as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Everyone have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to everyone who has served, especially our guy, Mark Warren, and we will see you all back on Tuesday.